Cruise ships look glamorous, right? But behind those glossy brochures, your cabin can hide mistakes that cost you hundreds or even get you kicked off mid-cruise. I'm talking surprise fines, fire hazards, safety violations, and yes, lifetime bans. Today, we're breaking down 22 things you should never do in your cruise cabin. And here's the catch. Most of these slip-ups are so common, passengers don't even realize it. Chances are, you've already done at least one of these without realizing it. Now let's jump in before you pack your bags the wrong way. The moment you walk into your cabin, I know the first instinct is to drop your bags, jump on the bed, maybe even run straight to the balcony to check out that ocean view. But hold on, before you get too comfortable, do yourself a favor and give the room a quick inspection, the same way you would if you were renting a car. Open the safe and make sure it actually locks. Flush the toilet. Yes, really. Run the shower to see if the water gets hot and the pressure is decent. Switch on the air conditioning, flip the light switches, even test the outlets if you brought a charger. Sometimes you'll catch little things right away. A fridge that doesn't cool, a lamp that won't turn on, or a safe with a jammed keypad. Why bother? Because if you wait until the end of the cruise, there's a very good chance you'll get blamed and billed for damage that was already there. Guest services will happily send someone to fix it if you report it right away. But if you don't, that broken lamp suddenly becomes your $75 souvenir. Think of this as your cruise insurance. 5 minutes of checking on day one could save you money, frustration, and a whole lot of awkward conversations later. Once you've done that, then, and only then, go ahead and jump on the bed like it's a vacation commercial. You've earned it. Every cabin has a small safe, and it's the smartest place to keep your valuables out of sight. Put your passport, extra cash, cards, or jewelry inside, and just carry what you actually need for the day. The buffet line doesn't require a passport, so lock it up. Here's a practical backup. Take a photo of your passport and store it in the cloud. If the real one ever goes missing, at least you've got proof ready to go. It's a simple step that adds peace of mind, so you can enjoy your cruise without constantly checking your pockets. That little fridge in your cabin might look innocent. Cold sodas, tiny bottles of liquor, maybe even some snacks, but don't be fooled. It's not a perk, it's a money trap. Even if you've paid for the unlimited drink package, what's inside the minibar almost never counts. Grab one Coke without thinking, and boom, your bill just jumped $20. And here's the sneaky part. Cruise lines know this. They're banking on tired passengers opening that fridge late at night and saying, it's just a soda. Spoiler, it's never just a soda. So here's the smart move. On day one, ask your cabin steward to clear out the minibar. They'll do it for free, and then you can use the fridge for your own water, sodas, or snacks you pick up on board. Zero surprise charges. Zero stress when you see your final bill. Think of it this way. Would you rather blow $20 on a can of Coke or save that money for a cocktail on deck at sunset? Easy choice. Cruise Wi-Fi isn't like the one at home. It's often slower, pricey, and has limits on data. Stream a movie or let your apps run in the background, and you could end up with a bill that hurts more than sunburn. That said, Wi-Fi at sea is getting better. Some cruise lines, like Royal Caribbean with Starlink in 2025, now offer faster, more reliable connections, and premium cabin packages may even include it for free. But unless you're sure it's covered, don't assume you can scroll TikTok for hours without consequences. Use it wisely. Message family, check excursion times, maybe upload that one sunset photo. Cruise Wi-Fi isn't for streaming Netflix, it's for proving to your friends you actually saw that sunset. Save the Netflix binge and gaming marathon for when you're back on land. I get it, you want to look sharp on formal night. Nobody wants to show up in the dining room looking like their shirt just wrestled its way out of the suitcase. But here's the deal. Irons, steamers, kettles, even little plug-in fans, absolutely banned. And don't think you'll sneak one past security. Pack one, and it ends up in the confiscated bin before your cruise even starts. Worst case, you set off an alarm and suddenly you're the main character in a safety drill nobody signed up for. The good news? Cruise ships already have hairdryers in every cabin, and many offer pressing or laundry service if you really need that crisp look. Or here's a hack. Hang your wrinkled clothes in the bathroom while you take a hot shower. Steam does the job without the drama. So leave the gadgets at home, pack smart, and let the ship's amenities do the heavy lifting. Your cabin steward and security staff will thank you. This one catches a lot of people off guard. Back home, CBD oil might be perfectly legal. Maybe you even have a medical card. But the second you step onto a cruise ship, the rules change. Cruise lines follow international maritime law, and that means zero tolerance. And here's a real case. A passenger thought a small bottle of CBD oil was harmless. By the next port, she was escorted off the ship with no refund and a lifetime ban. Not exactly the kind of souvenir you want to bring home. Some passengers argue, but it's legal in my state. Guess what? The ocean doesn't care about your state. If security finds CBD gummies, marijuana, or anything with THC, you're looking at fines and the end of your vacation. Even medical use isn't an exception. If it looks like weed, smells like weed, or has CBD on the label, leave it at home. The only high you want on vacation is standing on the top deck with a piña colada in your hand. Here's a rule that gets people in trouble all the time. No smoking in your cabin. Not cigarettes, not cigars, not vapes, nothing. I don't care if it's legal back home or if your balcony feels private. On a cruise ship, one stray spark can turn into a full-blown fire faster than you can say, abandon ship. And cruise lines take this seriously. People have been fined hundreds of dollars, escorted off mid-cruise, and some passengers have even been banned for life just for sneaking a puff. Not exactly worth it for a cigarette break. But don't worry, you don't have to quit cold turkey for the entire cruise. Ships have designated smoking areas that are properly ventilated and way safer. So if you need a smoke, head there. Otherwise, light up in your cabin, and you might find yourself waving goodbye to the ship from the pier. Smoke where you're supposed to, or don't smoke at all. Because nothing ruins a vacation faster than being that guy who set off the fire alarm at 2 a.m. You'd be surprised how many people still try to bring weapons on board. Firearms, knives, even pepper spray. Doesn't matter if it's legal back home or if you've got a permit. On a cruise ship, under maritime law, it's a flat-out no. And this isn't just a rule written on paper. One guest shared that her husband had a small pocket knife, about 4 inches long, and security confiscated it the moment they spotted it. He didn't get it back until the very last day of the cruise. Now, that's a lot better than being put off the ship, but imagine the stress of explaining why you packed it in the first place. You don't need a knife to cut your steak, and you definitely don't need pepper spray in the theater. The ship already has security covered. Leave the weapons at home and let the sharpest thing on your vacation be the little umbrella in your piña colada. So do yourself a favor, skip the weapons. The only thing you should be aiming for on this trip is a good seat by the pool. Candles, incense, matches, lighters, leave them all at home. On land, a little candle might make the room feel cozy. On a cruise ship, it's a full-blown fire hazard. One tiny flame is all it takes to turn your vacation into the plot of a disaster movie. Some passengers try to sneak in scented candles for romance night or light incense to make the cabin smell nice. But nothing kills the mood faster than setting off the smoke alarm and having the fire crew storm your room with extinguishers. And yes, they will do it. Here's a better idea. Bring a travel-sized air freshener or just enjoy that salty sea breeze out on your balcony. Because no fragrance is worth the risk of evacuating an entire ship. So remember, romance is great, but don't let it end with you explaining to the captain why your mood lighting almost triggered an emergency drill. I know, the muster drill isn't exactly the highlight of your cruise. 15 minutes standing around in a bright orange life jacket doesn't scream vacation vibes. But here's the truth, those 15 minutes could save your life. Every time, I see people scrolling on their phones, chatting with friends, or even sneaking off to the bar. Don't be that passenger. If an emergency actually happens, you don't want to be the one running around like a headless chicken while everyone else knows exactly where to go. And here's a little secret. The crew can tell who's paying attention. They've done this drill 1,000 times, but for you, it might be the one that really counts. So take it seriously. Learn where your life jacket is, know where your muster station is, and listen to the instructions. Think of it this way. You spend more time watching safety briefings for roller coasters that last 2 minutes. This one, it covers your floating hotel in the middle of the ocean. Worth the listen, right? I get it. You're on vacation, you're relaxed, and suddenly your cabin feels like your personal space to do whatever you want. But here's the thing. Your cruise cabin is not a dorm room. Don't tape decorations to the walls. And for the love of fresh paint, skip those sticky hooks that rip the finish right off. One guest thought sticky hooks would be harmless. By the end of the cruise, they were hit with a $50 bill for peeling paint. Not exactly the kind of souvenir you want. Cabins after passengers try to customize them are not pretty. Peeling paint, holes in the wall, and sometimes even extra charges slapped on the final bill. Remember, this isn't your college apartment. You're basically borrowing the space, like a hotel room on the water. Want decorations? The cruise line sells official ones, and your cabin steward can even help set them up safely. The last thing you want is to explain why half the wallpaper is missing just because you thought streamers would look cute. So keep the cabin neat, cozy, and cruise ready. Save the dorm decor for your next house party on land. If you've got a balcony cabin, here's a mistake you don't want to make. Never open your balcony door and your cabin door at the same time. Sounds harmless, right? But the second both doors are open, the air pressure kicks in like Mother Nature just slammed the throttle. Papers can go flying, doors can slam so hard they shake the walls, and those heavy cabin doors don't just close gently, they snap shut with enough force to bruise a hand or two. So here's the move. When you want fresh sea air, close the cabin door before you open the balcony. When you head out into the hallway, shut the balcony first. It takes 2 extra seconds, and it saves you from a mini hurricane inside your room. Remember, outside, you booked a cruise. Inside, you don't need a weather event. Here's a golden rule on a cruise. The toilet is only for one thing, and toilet paper. That's it. Nothing else. Not tissues, not paper towels, not wipes, not just this once, cotton swabs. Why? Because cruise ship toilets use a vacuum system, and one wrong flush can clog the entire line. And when I say entire line, I don't just mean your cabin. I mean your cabin, your neighbor's cabin, and half the deck. Imagine explaining to everyone why maintenance had to shut down the plumbing because you thought a Kleenex would be fine. Cruise toilet paper is specially designed to dissolve instantly in water. Everything else, it expands, clumps, and blocks the pipes like cement. So keep a trash can handy for anything that's not toilet paper. It might seem harmless. Slip your shoes, stroller, or even a beach bag outside the cabin door to save some space inside. But here's the reality. Cruise ship hallways aren't your personal storage unit. They're narrow, they're busy, and they're part of the ship's emergency exits. So keep everything inside your cabin. Use the shelves, stash things under the bed, or get a little creative with the closet. Your hallway neighbors will thank you, and more importantly, you won't be the reason someone takes a midnight tumble on the way back from karaoke. Remember, the hallway is for walking, not for expanding your cabin square footage. Nobody wants to trip over your flip-flops on their midnight karaoke return. On a long cruise, laundry is bound to happen. But here's the thing. Hanging wet clothes over the balcony might feel convenient, yet it's a bad idea. A sudden gust of wind can send your shirts flying into the ocean, and nobody wants to look out at the sea and see a row of socks flapping in the breeze. We once saw a sock fly off and probably reached Jamaica before its owner did. Some ships have self-service laundromats or will run fill-a-bag specials where they wash and fold everything for a flat fee. Either way, it's safer and better looking than turning your balcony into a clothesline. So keep the balcony for sunsets and sea views, not your swim trunks. Remember, your cabin isn't floating in the middle of nowhere. It's surrounded by walls that are thinner than you think. That means your late-night TV marathon, your Bluetooth speaker, or your private karaoke session at 2 a.m.? Yeah, your neighbors can hear every note. And it's not just noise. Those heavy cabin doors, if you let them slam shut every time you walk in, your whole hallway feels it. Imagine being jolted awake at midnight by a door slamming like a thunderclap. Not exactly the lullaby people signed up for. So here's the deal. Keep the volume down, close doors gently, and be mindful of the folks next door. A little courtesy goes a long way, and it makes the cruise more enjoyable for everyone, including you. A lot of people step onto their balcony and think, my own private oasis. Hate to break it to you, but that's not exactly true. From the deck above, from the ship next door in port, even from the water below, you're more visible than you think. Some ships even dock side by side, and suddenly you're giving a show to passengers on the next vessel. I've seen passengers sunbathing like they're invisible, having loud private conversations, even changing clothes on the balcony. And let me just say, if you don't want to end up as someone else's vacation story, keep that stuff inside. Balconies are amazing for sipping coffee at sunrise, watching the waves, or enjoying a glass of wine at sunset. But if it's something you wouldn't do in front of strangers in your living room window, don't do it out there either. I know the view is tempting. You lean over the railing, maybe think, wouldn't it be cool to sit up here for a better angle? Nope, bad idea. That railing isn't built to hold your body weight. It's built to stop you from falling. There's a big difference. Every year, there are stories of people trying to climb, sit, or even stand on balcony railings for that perfect Instagram shot. And let's just say, those stories rarely have a happy ending. One slip, and suddenly your dream vacation becomes an emergency headline. And if you've got kids or teens with you, this tip is even more important. Always keep that balcony door locked when they're unsupervised, because curiosity and railings do not mix. So enjoy the fresh sea air, take in the horizon, snap all the selfies you want from a safe spot. Keep both feet on the deck, where they belong, because the only thing that should be overboard on your cruise is your stress. This one's huge. No matter how quick you think you'll be, running to grab ice, stepping out on the balcony, or dashing down the hall, you should never leave kids alone in the cabin. Cabins may feel small and safe, but remember, they're connected to a massive floating city with thousands of people. Kids can wander out of their room, get lost in the maze of hallways, or start pressing every button on the cabin phone like it's a new toy. Nothing good comes out of that. Even teens can get themselves into trouble, ordering room service for fun, messing with balcony doors, or deciding it's a great idea to explore the ship solo. Unless you're ready to pay for whatever creative idea they come up with, keep them supervised. If you really need to step out, use the ship's babysitting service or kids club. They're safe, fun, and designed exactly for this. 1 minute of caution saves you hours of panic. This one's a classic. You walk into your cabin, see those fluffy bathrobes and soft towels, and think, wow, free souvenirs. Nope, they're not. They're for use during the cruise, not for stuffing into your suitcase at the end. I've heard of passengers trying to sneak out with robes, slippers, even the pool towels. And here's what happens. The cruise line charges your account. So instead of getting a freebie, congratulations, you just bought the world's most overpriced towel. Now the little toiletries, shampoo, lotion, soap, that's fine. Those are meant for you to take. But the big stuff? Leave it behind. You'll find way better souvenirs at the ports anyway. Honestly, would you rather go home with a stolen bathrobe or a handmade craft from the Caribbean? That little sign hanging on your cabin door is more powerful than it looks. Need privacy, a nap, or just some quiet time? Flip it to Do Not Disturb, and your room becomes your own bubble of peace. Want fresh towels, a made-up bed, maybe even one of those towel animals waiting for you? Hang the makeup room sign before you head out. Your steward isn't psychic. That tiny sign is basically their GPS. Ignore it, and you might end up with a knock at the wrong time or no clean towels when you want them most. Behind every clean, cozy stateroom is a hard-working cabin steward. These folks clean dozens of rooms a day, from early morning till late at night, often with a smile you'll never forget. They're up before you and still working long after you sleep. Fresh towels, fluffed pillows, even those towel animals waiting on your bed. A simple thank you, keeping your space a little tidy, or leaving a small tip can make a huge difference. Remember, they're the reason your cabin feels like a retreat instead of a disaster zone. Treat them with respect, and you'll not only have a happier crew, you'll have a smoother cruise experience all around. And there you have it, 22 things you should never do in your cruise cabin. Most of them are easy to avoid, but ignoring them can ruin your vacation faster than a storm at sea. So take a little care, be a thoughtful cruiser, and your cabin will stay the cozy, safe escape it's meant to be. Now I want to hear from you. What's the craziest thing you've ever seen someone do in their cabin on a cruise? Drop it in the comments, because you know we've all got stories. If you found this video helpful, give it a like, subscribe for more cruise tips, and share it with your travel buddies. Here's to smooth sailing and stress-free cabins. See you on board.